Hey guys, my name's Deb Money and I'm from Aussie Maille. Welcome to our chain mail tutorial channel. Hey guys, it's really good to see you here. Thanks for popping along and sharing part of your day with us today. So today I have another weave demonstration for you. This time the weave is one called Dragon Stripe. Alright guys, let's just jump straight into it. Okay guys, well here we've got a couple of sample pieces in the various gauges to show you. Now the sample pieces I've done are a little bit wider. You can do this as a single strip, but for the purpose of this I'm going to show you as a wider piece or a sheet piece of mail. So this one over here is our 14 gauge AWG, which is 1.6 millimeter diameter wire. And the rings in here are the anodized ones, the colored ones are 1/4 inch or 6.35 millimeters. And the larger outside ones in bright aluminium are 9.5 millimeters ID. Our 16 gauge version, 1.2 millimeter diameter wire, so that's 16 gauge AWG. The coloured rings are 3/16 of an inch or 4.76 millimeters, and the outside rings are 7 millimeter ID. The 18 gauge AWG, which is 1.0 millimeter diameter wire, the ring ID here for the coloured ones are 5/32 of an inch or 3.97 millimeters, and the outside rings in bright aluminium are 5.75 millimeters. And finally, the 20 gauge AWG 0.8 millimeter diameter wire, ring ID for the coloured rings are 1/8 of an inch or 3.18 millimeters, and the outside rings are 4.75 millimeter. So as a guide, anything that you can perhaps use for dragon scale should actually work with this particular weave. Okay, so we'll be showing you how to do this today in the 14 gauge version. So let's jump straight to that, guys. Okay, so the basis of this weave of dragon stripe is a weave called snakeskin, which is a variation on European 4-in-1. So I'll show you how to do the snakeskin portion first. And the only variation with this on European 4-in-1 is the size of the rings used. So with European 4-in-1, you generally use one size ring for the whole weave. With snakeskin, it's actually two sized rings, generally with the center row being smaller than the outer row. So we construct it exactly the same as we do as European 4-in-1, except we use two different size rings. So to do this, just open up one of your smaller rings. Now, as I said, I'm doing the 14 gauge AWG, so this one is 1/4 inch, and my big rings here in the bright aluminium are 9.5. So you want to close up a good portion of your large rings. You'll need to close up, something like 3/5 of the rings. So close them up as you go along, or you can close them all up in advance if that's the way you like to do it. To start this weave off, put 4 of your pre-closed rings onto your opened ring and then just close it up. And then we're going to position that so that our rings sit like this. Okay, so we've got our 4 rings, large rings sitting in this square shape, and our center, our small ring, keeping them all together. So our next step, as I said, is exactly like it is with European 4-in-1. So for those that have watched my previous videos, and I'll link one up here in the corner if you want some more information, think of this that we're looking at here like a mouse head. These are his ears and this is his forehead. That's the way we want to hold on to it. We're going to take our small ring, we're going to feed it down through the front of the ear on the right, flip it around and bring it up through the back of the ear on the left, And then before we close that ring up, we're going to pop on 2 of our pre-closed rings. And then we're going to close that up. And then we're just going to reposition our large rings so that they sit exactly the same again. And we just keep doing that for the length that we need our bracelet to be. Now, you'll need to make this probably about 10% longer than what you require the final product. It does scooch it up a small amount, but being a European 4-in-1 weave, it's pretty easy to add to the end. If you get to the end and you find that it's still a little short, it's not too difficult to add extra rings as you go. But as I said, make it up to about the length that you would normally make your bracelet to be, and then add about 10%. All right, so I'm just going to make up a short section. Put one more piece in. Okay. And you can see that it has this tendency to just fold in half. And that's okay, that's no bother. Just keep opening it up and repositioning your rings. Okay, so there we've got a single row of snakeskin. And as I said, you can do dragon stripe in a single row and just leave it at that if that's all you want. I'm going to show you how to do it as a slightly wider piece of mail. So what we want to do now is we want to expand our snakeskin, or our European 4-in-1, however you want to view it, snakeskin being technically correct. We want to expand this sideways. So I'll just show you how to do that. Okay, so again, you're going to need to pre-close some of your large rings. So if you don't already have some left over from before, go ahead and pre-close those. You'll need one for every pair that you've got up here. So I've got 6 pairs running up my piece, so I need 6 more closed rings. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to the beginning of my work. I'm going to open up another small ring. I'm going to pop on 2 of my pre-closed rings, and I'm going to go through the eye here that's formed where my first 2 rings overlap. Okay, so what I'm doing is mimicking the position of this ring here. Okay, so I'm just going to go straight up and through there. I'm going to close that off, and then I'm going to reposition those 2 rings that I added so that I'm back to my little 5 ring segment here, my 4 large rings inside the 1 small ring. And then I'm going to take up another small ring, this time popping on only 1 pre-closed large ring. And I'm going to go down through the front of this one here on the right, and I'm going to come up through the back of the ring on the left, as well as the ring after that, so that I'm going through a total of 4 rings. Okay, and then close that up. And you can see our work is starting to expand across and up. So we just want to do that all the way up for the length of the piece. Okay, so I'll just show you again. Take up one of your small rings, pop on 1 pre-closed large ring, and then we want to go through 4 rings. So this is 1 ring, go down through the front, 2, up through the back, 3, up through the back of the next one, 4, and then close it up. So you just continue to do that for the length of your work, and I'll meet you back here, guys, to show you the next step. Okay, so this is what your work should look like so far. You've got 3 columns of large rings and then 2 of the smaller rings. Now what we want to do is we're going to be placing orbiting rings around the small rings in our weave. Now, for those of you that have done the Valarius Dragon Spine with us, and I'll link the video up here in the corner, this will be very familiar to you. Obviously, Valarius Dragon Spine is a version of the Dragon Stripe weave. It's a single version, not a sheet version like this, but I'll link that up there, guys, if you want to see that. So some of you may be familiar with this already from doing that video or kit with us. So what I'm going to do next is, as I said, I'm going to place orbiting rings around our small rings. Now I'm going to use an anodized aluminium ring. Hopefully you can see this. Now this is a 3/8 of an inch, which is 9.53 millimeters. So it's only 0.03 millimeter larger than these ones here, the brown aluminium. So for this, it won't matter. And obviously if you want to do an all color piece, you could use the 3/8 of an inch ring there. So as I said, I'm going to orbit the small ring. I'm not going to put this ring actually through any ring at all. I'm just going to slide it in and orbit our small ring. It's a little tricky, especially with this first one here. So I'll give this a go. So what we want to do, we want to hold our work like this so that we can slip our new open large ring in between the large rings over here. Okay, we don't actually want it to go through anything. And then we want to swing that around and it goes in between those other two large rings. Now I'm just going to fold it back, it's just easier for this one. And I'm going to close that up. And then when I fold those rings back into position, you can see our new ring in there just encircles our small ring and doesn't actually go through anything whatsoever. Now you can do that this way and work one row, or you can work up one side, work up the other side. It really doesn't matter, guys. Whatever works best for you. I haven't found a particular reason to do one over the other. So I'll just show you again. I'm going to work just straight up this side. This time I want to encircle this ring here. So I'm going to slide in between the middle row of, rings 2 and 3 of our large. So making sure I don't pick up anything else. I'm just going between, and again, between these rings over here. And then I'm going to close that ring up. And then fold it all back into place. Okay. And you can see it's looking very dragon scale-esque. So again, that will help if you've done dragon scale before. You'll probably understand this weave a little better as well. So again, just between those two rings there, bring them around and close it up. And then to do it on the other side, we just do the same thing. We're just encircling our small ring, not putting our new coloured ring through anything at all. Okay, and just working our way up the piece until you've encircled all of your coloured small rings. Okay, so it can get a bit messy in there. Hopefully you're seeing all of this. Try not to, as I said, don't put your new large ring through any large rings. Sometimes that happens. So you just need to make sure that it just encircles that large ring. I hope it's not too blurry. All right, let me try that again. Okay. So we go between the two rings here on the edge, bring it up, okay, around, and then just close that up. And you just do that to the end of your work, and that's it. That is a dragon stripe. So I'll just show you the finished pieces again. So there's our 14 gauge AWG version, 1.6mm diameter wire, 16 gauge AWG, 1.2mm, 18 gauge AWG, and 20 gauge AWG. So as I said, you can do this as wide as you like, or you can do it in just one stripe. You can do it all in bright aluminium. You can do generally it all in anodized aluminium. I couldn't find a good size for 18 gauge for it to be completely in anodized aluminium, but the other gauges you certainly can do that in all anodized aluminium if that's what you're after. Alright lovelies, that's it. That is the video tutorial today. I hope you enjoyed it and that you're happily now weaving up your own sections of dragon stripe. If you did like it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up here on YouTube, share the video on social media, leave any comments or questions you have below. While you're here, check out some of our other tutorials. We've got plenty here to keep you occupied. Maybe if you're not a subscriber, you might consider doing that for us. And last but not least, guys, don't forget to check out our shop link up here where we're selling all the bits and bobs and thingamajigs that you're going to need for this weave and many of our other tutorials here. Alright guys, thanks once again for popping along and spending your day with me, and I hope to catch you again sometime in the very near future. Bye!